Good morning. I would like to welcome you to Polish and Finnish cities dialogue on the process of local energy transition. My name is Anita Cieślicka and I'm Director of Cities Program at Forum Energii, and together with Marta Szewczyk, advisor at Embassy of Finland in Poland, we're gonna try to introduce everybody and welcome you today. Cities across Europe are working to reduce smoke and greenhouse gas emissions. This is a process that requires strategy, innovation, but also new technologies. It's not easy for anybody, I believe, despite the size of the city. And that's why during today's event, we will learn good practices from 5 cities from Poland and Finland to try to fight this together. And I hope that those good practices will be also support for people from other cities and will also be the support in success in cities fight for cleaner energy transition. So I hope for good discussions and great presentation. And Marta, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anita, for introducing me. Good morning also from my side, or in Finland, actually almost good afternoon. Very nice to see all of you here. I think we started to talk about this webinar almost a year ago. So I'm very happy that we are finally meeting and that you were able to join us. So let's start with the official opening by Ambassador of Finland, Päivi Laine. Päivi, you are muted, so just a second.
Okay, now I think I'm on the line.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okej, witam wszystkich serdecznie na naszą rozmowę o transformacji energetycznej w miastach w Polsce i w Finlandii. Ja osobiście mam długą historię z Polską i jestem pod wielkim wrażeniem rozwoju kraju i miast w czasie ostatniej dekady. Lämpimästi tervetuloa myös Suomen kaupunkien edustajille tähän energiakeskusteluun puolalaisten kumppanien kanssa. Puolan merkitys on kasvanut valtavasti ja uskon todellakin, että verkottuminen puolalaisten kanssa on hyödyllistä. Ja voin sanoa, että Suomen osaamista ja avointa keskustelua arvostetaan Puolassa suuresti. So it's really great pleasure to be with you today. And thank you very much, Marta and Anita, for providing us for this discussion and for all that great work what you have done so far. Finnish and Polish relationship today is stronger than ever. We are partners in the EU and NATO, and I would say that amazingly, we are like-minded in very many issues. And green transition in the energy sector is critical. Climate change is with us today. We face all these extreme weather conditions more and more often, and that is not the only sign of climate change happening just in our eyes. We know we had globally the hottest year in history again. Finland has been tangled with the extremely strong snowstorm for a couple past days. Poland had suffered a great flood recently. And on the other hand, this country has been suffering from problems with droughts for many years. So this all is very controversial, but shows that not everything is okay. We are experiencing these consequences of climate change all over the world, and we need to shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources, reduce carbon emissions, and transfer to more sustainable solutions in our energy use. It's not an easy task, as it was said. It involves technological innovation, significant investment, but also commitment to social and economic change. At the heart of the green transition are cities. You are often the innovators and pioneers in finding sustainable solutions. I think that in Finland and Poland, both many cities are more ambitious in their climate targets than the national level. And local initiatives are so important and they're shaping also the national broader strategies. And I also think that the businesses are leading the way very bravely. because they see the business opportunity in being spearheads in the development. And of course, in all this process, there are ups and downs, but for sure, I think we all think that the future is green and it's also digital. We can also think about the individual level, because apart from the cities, we all as individuals, we have our responsibility in taking wise and informed choices in use of energy. We have to use less energy, we have to use less electricity, we have to use less waste, less water, and also produce less waste. These are all factors in the climate change. And coming from Finland, education is always very important, and I think that it plays a key role also in this in the energy transformation. And in Finland, I know that already the elementary pupils and even before the school, the young people, the children, they are challenged to think about their use of energy. And I think this is something what we can discuss today. But overall, it's really great that you are having here today the opportunity to share best practices and perhaps also talk about the mistakes, what have been done on the way. But anyway, it's important to discuss the issues with each other, and maybe even some ideas will be born for future cooperation. And I can assure you that the Embassy of Finland, we are very happy to facilitate today's event, but we are also there for you if need be in the future discussions. And we are very happy to facilitate this event with such a great partner as Forum Energi. So thank you very much for that. And so I would like to thank everybody for joining us today. And I wish you all very fruitful discussions. And maybe a quote for the end is that our path to carbon neutrality starts with one step. And what is the next step for you, for me, for all of us? Every step matters. So thank you very much. Dziękuję bardzo I kiitos.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for the introduction. I think we are really warmed up to start. And before we kick off the meeting, the official part of the meeting, I would like to propose to have one small souvenir from our meeting and take a group photo. If you can, please turn on your camera and we will just take a photo to have something to remember.
Yeah, all right. Is everyone ready?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. So the official opening is behind us. We have the photo, so it's high time to give the floor to the cities. And first, we will travel to beautiful city of Vantaa. Vantaa is a Finnish city that has the biggest airport in Finland and also quite impressive airport city. The airport city aims now to be one of the greenest districts as part of the Neutral Path program. And today with us, we have Eira Linko, project lead of Neutral Path program in the city of Vantaa. And Eira will tell us not only about this project, but the overall energy transition of the city of Vantaa and their roadmap and their plans on how to achieve it. So Eira, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marta. Dzień dobry. Hey, kaikille. My name is Eira Linko, and indeed I work for the city of Vantaa in the unit for environmental protection. And also I'm a project coordinator for the EU Horizon funded project Neutral Path. So as Marta mentioned, I will be talking about Vantaa's roadmap to resource wisdom, which is, now I also notice I need to share, my apologies. I will be talking about Vantaa's roadmap to resource wisdom, which is a so-called umbrella program for the environmental targets and actions in Vantaa. and especially I will focus on our plans for energy transition. But shortly about Vantaa. So we are located in the capital region of Finland. We're the fourth biggest city in Finland and one of the fastest growing ones. Just this autumn, we exceeded the population of 250,000 inhabitants. We're also a young city. In fact, half of the citizens are under 40 years of age. And the city also celebrates only its 50th anniversary now as a city. We're the most international city, one could say. There's more than 120 languages spoken in Vantaa. And it's also a well-connected city. We are home to the international airport. So if you have been to Finland by plane, you have also been to Vantaa. And we are a central part of the metropolitan transportation network with the main rails and road transport connections going through Vantaa. And we'll also have our first light rail coming at the end of this decade. And of course, we aim at carbon neutrality by 2030 and also being nature positive by 2030. And I will focus on the carbon neutrality goals and plans more in detail. Well, the foundation for the city's climate work lies in the city's strategy, which visions Vantaa as forerunner of sustainability and highlighting resource-smart solutions and climate neutrality as one of the main focus areas to consider in the city's decision-making and daily action across the organization. And the steps to environmental sustainability are set in our roadmap to resource wisdom. One of the main lines of action is carbon neutrality. And with that, carbon neutral energy is, or one of the main goals is the carbon neutrality, and then one of the main lines of action is for carbon neutral energy. So covering targets like cutting heating and electricity related emissions and increasing renewable energy production in the city's area. And we are already in transition with the energy systems. The citywide district heating network plays a key role in the city's energy system. It's managed by Vantaa Energy, which is majority owned by the city of Vantaa. The network supplies heat to approximately 70% of the buildings, providing warmth for 90% of the city's inhabitants. And currently, district heating also accounts for more than 30% of Vantaa's yearly climate emissions. So this, of course, makes Vantaa Energy's plans for reducing emissions a key component for the city's climate neutrality strategy. You can see in the pillars on the right, the blue ones are representing energy sector, heating and electricity. And the carbon neutrality scenario assumes the emissions of district heating to have sunk to 0 by 2030. And Vantaa Energy indeed does have ambitious plans and already working on them. The aim is to phase out fossil fuels first by 2026 and becoming carbon negative by 2030. Right now, the main sources for district heating are burning of mixed waste and bio-based material. And of course, one of the first key components for the carbon neutrality work is to be active in increasing recycling, to have more and more of real non-recyclable waste that is being burnt, and then utilizing the excess heat instead of mixed waste that could be still further recycled. But that's not the only focus, but Vantaa Energy has many investments coming. They estimate that it's roughly 1 billion euros in the coming years that they will invest for the energy transition. They are aiming at this so-called carbon negative hybrid system, which means that on top of the mixed waste handling and utilizing the excess heat from that, they will utilize more and more excess heat from various sources within the city, increasing electric heating, electric boilers, for example, also smart control of the grid, and last but not least, a seasonal thermal heat storage, which you can see in the middle in the picture. It's actually one of the key components of the future system and already underway. It's being built under one of the main ring roads in the capital region. And it will, the idea is with this big storage to store heat, for example, from burning of mixed waste that has to be done around the year, but is more needed in the winter, of course, the excess heat. So this seasonal storage will help store the heat and then provide more source for heating in the peak demand times. In long term, the aim is to end burning of biomaterial and limit the waste burning to truly non-recyclable waste. But of course, we know that for now, for still many years, there will be significant amounts of mixed waste produced in our society. And as the burning does produce carbon emissions, they are also working on carbon capture technologies. But though the district heating is a key component, of course, actions are needed in the existing housing stock, and that often happens also building by building. And the city has a significant role there as well. The city works continuously for energy transition in our public buildings, and we have actually already reached our current target of energy savings of 7.5% ahead of time for that target. We install renewable energy in all major renovations and new constructions of public buildings and have been phasing out oil heating of all significant buildings already. All new public buildings and also new apartment buildings are required to aim at the energy class A level. And then also the existing private housing stock. The capital regions, Climate Info offers support and information for citizens in smart energy consumption and energy renovations. And we also have this project called Housing Company Club that brings housing companies, apartment buildings and their owners together to work on energy issues, for example, in their neighborhood. And indeed, private households are taking initiative and companies as well. We currently have the most solar power capacity, apparently, per electricity connection in the whole of Finland. Then shortly about an example and an active project that I also represent, Neutral Path. So we're participating in a 5-year project with 5 European cities and other organizations involved, accelerating the clean energy transition in urban environments. The project paves the way towards climate neutrality, especially through the development of positive and clean energy districts. In Vantaa, our focus is Aviapolis, an area located south of the airport, and it's transforming from more logistics into a vibrant green urban district with business and housing and so on. And we're developing new practices for climate smart urban planning in Aviapolis, but also whole of Vantaa under Neutral Path project. And I wanted to give one example also of collaboration, because as we all know, achieving carbon neutrality requires a lot of continuous collaboration and partnerships with various actors. The city cannot do it alone. And under Neutral Path, we are forming these energy and sustainability pilots in Aviapolis area to share learnings, set ambitious targets, and work together for energy transition in the changing district. And the first pilot with a real estate owner in the area. So most of the area is private land ownership. So that's why also it's important to work with the landowners and developers. We have a pilot in the future center of the district with the real estate, Avia Real Estate and Vantaa Energy, They are building a hybrid energy system there, utilizing excess heat and local heat sources, renewable energy, and forming a energy service model. And we want to share these learnings to also lower the barrier for others to take initiative in similar solutions. So to sum up, as you've heard by now, there's of course a lot to be done still in the energy sector, but the plans are quite advanced and the sector is relatively well, I would say, on the track with the reduction targets. Of course, another key focus point in carbon neutrality is transportation. And I would say despite big investments and efforts in public transit and cycling and so on, transportation-related emissions remain the biggest challenge. And here also the cities action is needed, collaboration with cities and other actors, and also state level is needed to be able to reach the reduction targets in transportation. But in addition to carbon emission reductions of the area-based emissions, so to say, there are efforts in other sustainability sectors, and new topics are not new necessarily, but topics that are getting more and more attention, at least in Vantaa, and we can see that in Finland and Europe more in general. So would be circularity and embodied carbon as well, not only the emissions that are like produced in Vantaa area, but the material related emissions and life cycle assessment of construction projects, for example. Then, of course, adaptation to climate change. Of course, there's already long experience in urban runoff control and so on, but we also need to start paying more attention, for example, to ensuring decent indoor temperatures in buildings, even in Finland in the summer, more and more. And then we have a quite new target of being nature positive by 2030. This means that on top of the more traditional nature protection, we need to start aiming at no net loss approach, and also sort of restoration actions. For example, in the picture, you can see a former dam that was demolished and rapids restored in the area where they once existed. And I would say that all of these topics also have links to the energy systems and the ongoing energy transition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ira. That was a very interesting presentation. I already see some common points with Polish cities to discuss later. And I still encourage you to ask questions on the chat if you want to learn more about projects by Ira. But right now, I would like us to hear more about one-of-a-kind project from Poland, which is called Nest, and this project is focused on net zero neighborhoods. This project is also made by 5 big cities from Poland, mainly Krakow, Warsaw, but also 3 other. And this is pilot project within the mission of 100 climate neutral and smart cities made by European Commission. And right now, I would like to ask Konrad Szpak, Nest project coordinator and representative of City of Krakow, to tell us more about it. Yeah, Konrad, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. My name is Konrad Szpak. I'm representing Krakow, and I'm working as a Nest project manager within the Department of Municipal Economy and Climate, and happy to be here with you, and I would like to interest you within our initiative. First and foremost, I would like to say that there's a saying in Polish language, nie od razu Kraków zbudowano, which means Kraków wasn't built in a day, and this saying could refer to the climate neutrality, not only in Krakow, but also in Poland. it was and it still is a process and rather complex one. We've commenced our cooperation with climate kick within the deep demonstration in 2019. We've held Kraków Citizens Assembly on climate. We are talking about our vision of the city within 2050 perspective with various stakeholders, and we've established a specific consortium that is implementing the NEST project. And I will be talking about this in a minute. So basically, there are plenty of challenges. First and foremost, I would say that most of the buildings in Poland do not meet energy efficiency standards. That's why we have to take into consideration the buildings, residential service buildings, and they require significant intervention in the first place. And we are also struggling with, let's say, social economic challenges like aging of the society, energy poverty, migration, stratification, etc. And most of the emissions comes from the buildings, could be affiliated with the buildings. That's why we've established our consortium, 5 Polish cities, Warsaw, Kraków, Wrocław, Łódź, Rzeszów, but also our technical partner, National Center for Research and Development. And also we are closely collaborating with Forum Energii, but maybe we'll talk about this later. I would say that our initiative is focused on developing practical retrofit tools to reduce emissions from the buildings. And we are analyzing all major types of buildings in Poland, such as, for instance, let's say, block of flats, single family house, so-called cube, the millennial school, tenement house, commercial buildings, etc. It is really important because when we will develop one practical solution for a specific building, we could then replicate it. We could implement our solutions in plenty of other Polish or maybe non-Polish cities. But I would say that our approach is rather innovative, because what's important is the fact that we are not focusing only on the building, one specific building, but rather on the similar kinds of the buildings and also on the whole space revitalization. And also, definitely newest technologies will be included, like modernization of central heating, photovoltaics, mechanical ventilation with heat recovery, or ground centralized heat pumps, electricity storage, heat and cold storage, water retention, purification, intelligent management, etc. So we have several major areas of change that will be included within our works, but also another different approach. We don't want to, let's say, solve the challenges of the buildings, but rather the challenges of the people living in those buildings. That's why we are taking into consideration all the, let's say, prospective housing and sector policies, and we will develop reliable technological, economic, social solutions for individual buildings, districts, and the whole cities. So we've distinguished specific areas within 5 Polish cities. We call them urban quarters. For instance, in Kraków, we have Mystrowice district, part of the Mystrowice district, but also in other Polish cities. In Wrocław, different urban quarters. In Łódź, Warsaw, or Rzeszów. And I would say that we did a lot of work. We are striving to access all of the possible data from the owners of the buildings, from the housing associations, from the state-owned companies, from the private sector, in order, and we also did a 3D scanning in order to create so-called digital twin and being able to use such information, such data, and create our prospective solutions. So our consortium not also including the National Center for Research and Development, but also some other stakeholders, some other companies, private entities, and we've engaged numerous stakeholders. And at the moment, we are also collaborating with some Danish entities within the architecture and urban design. And our current goal is to create specific technical solutions, architectural solutions, social innovations in order to include all of the possible ideas, solutions, etc. But I would like to also say that we did ask people living there, what are your daily challenges? What are your needs? Do you need more parking space or rather more greenery? What is your method of transportation? Do you have, let's say, a specific place where you could talk with your, maybe not strangers, but neighbors, right? So it is really important for us to not only think about just, let's say, primitive technical solution, but rather to include all of the possible ideas and to solve the challenges and to address the needs of the people living in our urban quarters. And what's also important is the fact that I would say we would like to provide holistic approach to our project. So first and foremost, we were talking about the challenges. Why this energy transition is so problematic in Poland? Why do we have a transition team in our city, in our 5 Polish cities? So we did plenty of workshops and sense-making sessions. We distinguish 5 urban quarters. Then we are talking about the technological economic models for spaces, but also we were analyzing the capacity building within the organizations and external stakeholders. Moreover, one of our major goals is to develop a model for engaging both stakeholders, but also people, citizens living in our quarters, because we know that, for instance, in Krakow, the municipality is directly responsible for from 3 to 7% of the emissions. So we have to take into consideration all of the possible solutions, but also we have to engage other parties, other entities, other stakeholders. Another challenge, great, you have plenty of solutions, but how much does it cost? And who will be financing this modernization? Additionally, we have a specific work package about so-called MEL, which is monitoring, evaluation, and knowledge sharing. So we don't want to just think about some ideas to analyze them, but we also would like to also share our knowledge and experience with other Polish cities, and maybe not only with Polish cities, in order to facilitate energy transition, not only in Kraków, not only in Warsaw, not only in 5 Polish cities, but within the whole Poland. And I would say another great challenge is the need for changing the policies in Poland. So our goal is to provide, I would say, a shift, a change from the sectoral and rather punctuated traditional approaches to rather innovative, holistic planning that would help accelerate the climate transformation of cities. And this is why we have work package number 9, because we would like to build a strong mandate for systemic change in Poland. Therefore, we are not only developing innovative solutions, but also taking actions towards gaining understanding and support of the wide range of decision makers. We are quite committed to that. So it is just a glimpse within our project, NEST project. We are also working on the so-called energy simulator in order to analyze some ways of facilitating energy transition in Poland. We know that this is rather complex issue, especially in Poland with our experience. But I would say that NEST project encompasses a wide area of measures, including organizational, financial, legislative, and social aspects, alongside monitoring system, evaluation, and with strong focus on continuous learning. So we did several learning sessions. Actually, at this time, some of our team is taking part in specific session within the net zero cities. So we are confident that NEST will provide valuable insights for the application of modernization techniques and innovative technological solutions. But our set of solutions, we believe, they will be primed for scaling and replication. It is really important for us to replicate this, to implement our solutions in within other Polish cities, and therefore we do believe that NEST has a potential for fostering the energy transition, maybe not only in Kraków, not only in 5 Polish cities, but in the whole Poland. However, we did not secure financial resources for implementing our solutions. But we do believe that financing modernization and renovation of selected urban quarters within 5 Polish cities could be a great example that the real change within climate, energy, and climate change policy and energy transition in Poland is actually taking place. So plenty of challenges, plenty of tools, experiences, sometimes let's say mistakes and other challenges within, for instance, heating and transport. It's really important issues in Kraków, Wrocław, or Warsaw. But I guess that there will be a time to discuss this later within our discussion. So for now, thank you, and I'll be happy to answer your questions later.
Thank you very much, Konrad, for very inspiring presentation with a lot of good tools, and as you said, also some challenges, but we will definitely talk about this later. And I think you touched very important thing, also the social aspect and social engagement, and I think it's an important part that we want to discuss after the presentations. But now I would like to give the floor to Joni Mäkinen, energy expert from the city of Espoo. The city of Espoo, similarly as Krakow, is part of EU mission project for the cities, for smart and climate neutral cities. So this is one thing that you already have in common. And Espoo is second largest city in Finland, and they have very ambitious district heating decarbonization plans. So Joni, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marta, and good afternoon, everyone. I'll just quickly share my screen and get my slides from here. And then hopefully get it into presentation mode. Hopefully you can now see me and hear me.
Yeah, it's all working very well.
All right. So as Marta already introduced me, I'm Joni Mäkinen from the city of Espoo, energy specialist under the mayor's office, the strategy and development department, and the sustainability side from there. And today I'm talking a little bit maybe more from the energy side, because that's my expertise, and we're talking about our work towards climate neutral heating in Espoo and the 100 climate neutral cities mission. But moving forward, just a couple of facts and figures. So as already said, we are the second largest city in Finland, situated next to Helsinki in the capital region, and are the fastest growing city in Finland at the moment, or at least one of the fastest growing. And we are geographically big, so we don't really have one city center. We have 5 different district centers that we then have connected by rail, so metro or commuter rail or light rail. And we are also close to nature, and nature is very, very important for our citizens as well. So we have 95 nature reserves, 32 protected habitats, and 58 kilometers of seashore in Espoo in total. So nature is a very heavy point in the city as well. And we also are, let's say, an innovation hub in Finland as well. So home to about 50% of the Helsinki Stock Exchange turnover, if you look into company headquarters, 16 patents in Europe, and so on and so forth. But moving onwards from that, a little bit about our general road towards climate neutrality and the climate governance side. This is a pretty heavy slide, but I won't go through it in full. But anyways, I just wanted to note that our approach to climate governance is very multi-layered. So we have the Espoo story, which is the Espoo city strategy, which is for each council term. So it's after each municipal election. And as part of the Espoo story, we have these development programs that aim to work towards central goals or challenges that have been identified. One of them being the Sustainable Espoo program. And then in addition to this, we have several different initiatives that we are a part of and provide us tools for the climate work. So Covenant of Mayors provides the Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan, which we completed in 2019 or drafted in 2019. And then the aforementioned EU 100 climate neutral cities mission, which in turn provides the climate city contract. And then we have a lot of smaller sector specific agreements, programs, and then internal or more local tools like the climate neutral Espoo roadmap, climate budget, and this climate watch is this kind of online service available for local citizens to see our climate actions and provide transparent information. But anyways, to the 100 climate neutral cities, so we are one of the Finnish cities chosen into this program, and during March of this year we also received the mission label for our climate city contract as well. So our climate city contract details the main measures we are doing towards achieving our climate neutrality goals. And one main measure I bolded here that I'm going to go into a little bit more detail later is the climate neutral district heating by 2030 or by the end of 2020s. But we also aim to keep the city growth sustainable, develop, connected to rails, and then accelerating, of course, the sustainable transport and e-mobility transformation. But anyways, as a part of our climate city contract, we had these climate commitments with 25 different local partners, so businesses, research centers, universities, and so on. And as a part of this, we also have commitments from the local district heating operator and the local distribution system operator. So, and we also have separate strategic partnership agreements with them as well. But then into the energy side, first, just a couple of excerpts from our Espoo story, the strategy, and then the sustainable Espoo program. This is pretty broad, so I won't go into too much detail here, but anyways, our aim is to provide new solutions through collaboration to have residents with affordable, reliable, and low emission energy. So even though we work towards low emission and sustainable energy solutions, we want to remember the affordability and reliability of the energy system as well. But then we look into different new and current technological solutions and their implementation, but then also the engagement side, the advice and guidance, and the sustainable lifestyle side. But then the main action that I wanted to talk about, so the Espoo Clean Heat, which is our commitment towards carbon neutral district heating with the local district heating provider Fortum. And as with many other Finnish cities, district heating is our, or was historically our largest share of climate emissions in Espoo. So about 80% of local buildings are connected to the district heating grid. But then, of course, also the most rapid emission reductions have been through our actions towards carbon neutral district heating. And as a part of this goal to achieve this carbon neutrality, we had an intermittent target of ending the use of coal by the end of 2025. But we have been a bit early with that, so the use of coal has been terminated in our local district heating grid April of this year. So coal is not used at this point anymore in the Espoo district heating grid by Fortum. But anyways, I'll go to the roadmap in the next slide, but the main kind of largest action towards the carbon neutral heating here is the collaboration between Fortum and Microsoft. So Microsoft will construct data centers in the area of the local district heating grid, and then this waste heat from these data centers will be utilized to produce about 40% of all heating in the region through these data centers. But anyways, here's the roadmap. So the orange line there shows where we are right now. So everything on the left side of that line has been implemented already. So during the start, so almost a decade ago, there was also a focus on bioenergy. So there are some points on there about oil to pellet conversion and bioheating facilities and bio-oil plants. But at the moment, we have moved that focus towards non-combustive technologies. So at the moment, there are no bioenergy investments in the planning, but the focus is on using different waste heat sources. So wastewater, we have wastewater heat pumps that uses the local municipal wastewater heat, and then data centers, of course, especially on the right side of the roadmap, in the still to be implemented side, and then air to water heat pump plants. So we have one plant already implemented there, and then electric boilers and heat storages and so on. And then for the data center, maybe I'll also note that the construction is already ongoing in the data center side. So we are already moving fast on that investment as well. So at the moment, 60% of production is carbon neutral in the local district heating grid. But I also wanted to have one slide to talk about the city's own measures. And so I wanted to focus in this case on the premises department. Of course, we do a lot in city planning, we do a lot in public works and zoning and so on. But due to the focus of this webinar, I just wanted to focus on our premises department. So most of these notes are related to our public buildings and not all buildings in general. So in public buildings, we procure carbon neutral electricity and renewable district heating. And we also focus on optimizing, especially heating. So we have in about 110 public buildings, we utilize this heating optimization service called Fortum Smart Living. And then to increase our resources, we have also procured an energy management and property monitoring service from a third-party provider. So they handle the monitoring of energy use and implementation of measures if we see any issues there, and remote monitoring, and also energy assessments and so on. But then we also have goals in terms of our public buildings. So moving from oil heating to district heating or geothermal heating in those cases that use oil at the moment. And then in new buildings, we aim for the energy class A, while in renovation, we have an aim for a 30% increase in energy efficiency, and then goals in local energy use. And then we also utilize multiple criteria optimization to ensure that the whole building life cycle is taken into account. And then everything is publicly shared about these measures on the Espoo Climate Watch, only in Finnish at this time, but we aim to keep that at the current state and inform about how these measures are ongoing. But then finally, I wanted to give an example of a local project as well. So this EU Horizon 2020 Sparks project that I also have been a part of in the recent years. And this is an international smart city themed research and innovation project from 2019 to 2024. So we have officially ended at the end of September. And we had 2 lighthouse cities, one of them being Espoo, one of them being Leipzig in Germany, and then 5 fellow cities across Europe. And the main point in this project was positive energy districts, or PEDs, so districts that produce more energy than they consume. But the focus was much larger than that in the end. So it was more about adapting the built environment towards zero emissions. So how we look into local energy systems, renewable energy balancing, energy efficiency, but also mobility, e-mobility charging, but then citizen engagement, how to have a citizen-centric approach when developing local districts and so on. So it was a much larger total than the positive energy district word might give an idea of. And then on the right there, you can see the partners of the project as well. So a lot of local partners, for example, Kone, Siemens, plug it, a charging provider, Citycon, landowner, and so on. But anyways, just one example of a demo area that we had in this project being the Lippulaiva blocks in the Espoonlahti district of in southwestern Espoo. And this Lippulaiva blocks was a shopping center or a city district center connected to apartment buildings and a library and a metro station, bus terminal, and so on. That was constructed during the time of this project by Citycon, which is a operator of these kind of centers across the Nordics. And then we also had an energy partner there participating in the project, which was Adwen, and they constructed, at least at that moment, the largest geothermal heating and cooling plant in Europe in a commercial building within this demo area. So they had a 4 megawatt heat pump system, 170 geoenergy wells, totaling to about 50 kilometers. And then they also utilized the excess heat from the local grocery stores into the system to make this whole center carbon neutral. And this was also utilized in the connecting apartment buildings and other buildings. As you can see, probably in the bottom left corner, you can see the buildings that this was implemented in. And also we had other issues, not on the heating side, that we looked into. So Citycon implemented a battery electricity storage and PV, both on the facade and then on the roofs, and smart automation systems and so on. But the heating system was one of the main implementations. But anyways, those were some of the main examples from Espoo's side, and I can then answer more questions later about if anything comes up related to challenges or any other issues or questions rise up, and we can continue. But anyways, thank you.
Joni, thank you very much. You addressed a lot of topics and issues that I believe are very important for a lot of cities, especially the cost of energy and heat for the residents. I believe this is like very hot topic right now. And there will be questions. I have even a few of those, but right now I would like to give the floor and invite Sylwia Brzezicka-Tesarczyk, Director of the Center of Sustainable Urban Economy in City of Rybnik. And before I will give the floor to you, Sylwia, I would like to really appreciate the road that Rybnik took, because Rybnik was a few years back as a smog capital of Poland, and right now it's a leading city in fight for cleaner, and for me it's a huge inspiration. I remember when I started to work with Polish local governments, and Rybnik from the beginning were a very unique one, with great team, with huge determination and great ideas. So I hope, Sylwia, you will bring the story of Rybnik closer to us, especially because this is a story connected with coal and mining and a lot of issues that cities do not have to face everywhere. So Sylwia, it's your turn.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Anita, for your invitation. So once again, I would like to sincerely thank you for inviting the city of Rybnik to join the panel. Rybnik is a city in the southern Poland with a rich coal mining heritage. It's now prioritizing the improvement of air quality and climate change adaptation by 2030. One of its biggest challenges is combating poor air quality, primarily caused by coal-based heating in residential homes. To tackle this issue, Rybnik has spearheaded invitations to replace outdated heating systems and improve the energy efficiency of buildings through thermomodernization. Key efforts include a public awareness campaign highlighting the health risk of smog, So let me start a brief agenda for my presentation. I will begin with a short introduction to Rybnik, followed by an overview of the region's mining heritage. Then I will talk about the efforts undertaken in recent years to combat air pollution, and briefly introduce the newly established Rybnik Hydrogen District. So Rybnik is located in southern Poland, in the region of Upper Silesia. We have over 130,000 residents, a sprawling area covered 148 square kilometers, and we have 27 districts. We have many historic buildings, including the minor Basilica of St. Anthony, which features the tallest towers in our Silesian province. We also have an architecturally interesting city hall building, when I am currently located. However, our latest source of pride is the historic Ignacy mine, whose revitalization has received numerous national and European awards. The historic Ignacy mine in Rybnik was honored with the Grand Prix title, winning the highest honor among all the winners of this year's European Heritage Award. What else? For over 50 years, our city hosted a coal-fired power plant. Now the gas steam unit in Rybnik, with an electric capacity of almost 900 megawatts, will become one of the largest and most efficient facilities of its kind in Poland and also in Europe. This modern unit will also be equipped with the capability to co-fire hydrogen in its gas fuel. Rybnik has been closely connected to mining tradition for centuries. In the 19th and 20th centuries, mining became the main pillar of Rybnik's economy, transforming the city into an important industrial center in the region. The mines not only shaped the landscape, but also the city's community, embedding a characteristic Silesian ethos of hard work and solidarity. Today, although many mines have been closed, Rybnik's mining heritage remains alive. It's very important that two coal mines are still active in Rybnik. And now we'll have a short video about our city, highlighting its mining traditions and showcasing how Rybnik has tackled the issue of low emissions.
Mnie to smuci generalnie, dlatego że takie obawy, że będziemy takim europejskim skansenem węgla.
Back in Rybnik, Deputy Mayor Piotr Mazlowski hopes this approach offers an example of the just transition in action.
Rybnik ma 130 kilka tysięcy mieszkańców i aż 19 tysięcy domów jednorodzinnych. I to jest 19 tysięcy potencjalnych trucicieli.
We're following the municipal guard on an eco-patrol where they drive around and look out for signs of things being burnt that shouldn't be in households.
Bo to przeważnie też przez dym, nie? Że to nie musi być akurat z tej posesji dym.
Bo widać wkład jest, minąłem. I się dym, widzisz? Żerzy się.
Dzień dobry, Straż Miejska, kontrola źródła ogrzewania. Przejść z drugiej strony, możesz puścić, bo tu jest piesek.
I think that's a no.
The city offers incentives to encourage residents to move away from their coal burners, with the older, more harmful smokers already banned.
Oh yeah, look. Here in Rybnik, there is a big movement to get rid of this type of burner and move to cleaner sources of energy.
No ja jeszcze jedną zimę będę palił, bo mogę palić, a potem będę musiał wybrać albo na gaz, albo pompę ciepła. Nie, tu wszyscy dookoła pozakładali gazowe ogrzewanie. No ja zostałem sam teraz.
But Poland's legacy of coal isn't confined underground.
What is this place?
To miejsce to jest miejsce, gdzie kopalnia wysypuje kamień z tak zwanego urobku.
At this slag site, once a fishing pond, a local scavenger searches for treasure amongst the refuse.
Dzień dobry. What's this?
To jest czysto bryła węgla. Akurat się zdarzyło, taka bryłka jest. Lżejszy nawet węgiel jak na kopalni, bo to jest taki jakby to świeżyzna, tak ona to mówi. Ale tak tego nie ma, żeby to tak było cały czas. Tego to nie jest.
Why do you feel it is that people like yourself have to come down here to get your heating source?
Najlepiej by było w ogóle tu nie przyjeżdżać. Bo widzicie, jak wyglądamy. Jest błoto, niekiedy jest zimno, deszcz pada. Opał zawsze był i było bez problemu, a teraz od pewnego czasu się skończyło. Ale żeby był w takiej cenie, żeby go można było kupić.
With energy costs driven skyward by the war in Ukraine, this revolution away from coal, once seen as vital to Poland's independence from Soviet influence, is at risk of stalling before it has even begun.
You must feel some responsibility to try and improve the lot for people like this.
I do not know his situation. I'm not sure we can offer them new jobs. Generally, I try to focus on the kids. I know that it sounds terrible, that I decide to leave maybe 5% of the population behind. But if you want to achieve a goal, we have to invest in the future.
But many local residents are miners, and as such still receive perks like free coal to heat their homes.
You are surrounded by a strong mining industry and a lot of union members who have no incentive to leave coal behind.
Wiesz co, generalnie cię zaskoczę, ale jestem zadowolony. Wszystkie wskaźniki pokazują, że jakość powietrza w Rybniku gwałtownie się poprawiła. Dzisiaj jednak zdecydowana większość mieszkańców jest za tą zmianą. To nikt to nie wierzył, że my możemy w Rybniku tak szybko tej zmiany dokonać.
So thank you. And the next slide, please. Thank you. So now we will move on to information related to the fight against air pollution and an overview of how this issue has been addressed over the past few years, as well as how the city has managed to tackle this challenge. It involved 3 steps: education, implementation, and control. The main source of low emission in Rybnik is single-family houses, as many as 19,430 buildings, representing almost 90% of residential buildings, with approximately 14,000 of them equipped with solid fuel appliances. Municipal housing, city-owned apartments accounts for over 4,300 units where steel stoves are installed. The anti-smog resolution of the Silesian Voivodeship, introduced in September 2017, established a ban on burning coal sludge, flotation concentrates, brown coal and wet wood, and also a schedule for replacing solid fuel heating appliances between 2021 and 2027. What else? Over the past few years, numerous information campaigns have been conducted. The most famous of which is Shame on You. And thanks to this campaign, Rybnik became a finalist in the climate protection category at the Politics Awards 2024 competition. The next slide, please. And the next. Thank you. The last 7 years dedicated to educating residents and providing grants for heating system replacement and home thermomodernization have resulted in a significant number of applications submitted under the Clean Air Program. Rybnik has ranked first in Poland in terms of the number of applications submitted. This is a tremendous achievement, and we are proud of it together with our residents. For years, we have also operated an air quality monitoring system in the city. So every district is equipped with an air quality sensor. In every kindergarten and school, we provide daily updates on air quality during the heating season, of course. I must say that over the past few years, hundreds of meetings and debates have been held with residents, district councils, and the city council too. Dozens of articles have been published in local newspapers, providing information on deadlines for boiler replacements, the health risk of pollution, and related topics. Numerous initiatives have been launched to raise awareness among residents, including the creation of Rybnik smoke alarm and the penalty boiler, where notice were placed on neighbors' properties, encouraging them to take action and replace their old boilers. As part of municipal investments, thermal modernization of buildings and replacement of heat sources were carried out in both public utility facilities and municipal housing stock, along with the development of RES installation and cogeneration. So over 136 million in external funds were obtained for these initiatives between 2016 and 2023. Some information about financial support of residents. Residents of Rybnik have received significant financial support to improve air quality and modernize heating system. Under the Clean Air Program, almost 6,500 applications have been submitted since 2018, resulting in over 50 million zloty in subsidies. From 2016 to 2018, the city allocated at least 5 million annually in subsidies, later focusing exclusively on multi-family buildings. The warm housing program improved almost 350 apartments and 13 housing communities. And additionally, almost 730 grants were awarded through EU funds for the years 2022-2023. The Clean Air Program consultation point was launched in January 2019, offering 100 consultation hours per month at an annual cost of approximately 140,000 zloty. The task was entrusted to a non-governmental organization providing residents with information and assistance in completing and processing applications. The program was actively promoted in all 27 districts between September and December 2019. In October 2021, a second consultation point was opened, staffed by office personnel to further support the initiative. What else? Something about gasification. Gasification have significantly advanced in Rybnik districts. with nearly 100 kilometers of new gas pipelines constructed as a part of project led by PSG. Additionally, new supply sources for the city's districts heating network have been developed by PGNiG Termika, contributing to a more sustainable and efficient energy infrastructure. These efforts aim to reduce solar dependence on coal and improve air quality across the city. So the next step, after years of education and providing subsidies, is the time for verification, the time for inspection. So the City Guard Eco Patrol, established in November 2016, plays a crucial role in enforcing environmental regulation at Rybnik. Its responsibilities include conducting comprehensive property inspections. With the support of a city application, approximately 250 notifications have been received. Inspections intensified on January 2022, resulting in almost 7,000 property checks related to the anti-smoke resolution. The next slide, please. And now, all these actions have resulted in a significant improvement since 2017, the first year the anti-smoke resolution came into effect. The annual average concentration of PM10 particles have been reduced by half, like you see, and the average number of days exceeding PM10 pollution limits has dropped from 96 days to just 16 days. The next slide, please. The maximum daily concentration of PM10 particles has decreased by over 90% over the past seven years, and the number of days exceeding the limits has dropped from 23 to just 1. We were once exclusively known as the Rybnik Coal District, but now we are transforming and striving to become the Rybnik Hydrogen District. Nowadays, public transportation in Rybnik primarily consists of hydrogen buses, followed by electric buses. Rybnik has a modern hydrogen refueling station supporting its transition to eco-friendly transport. The station efficiently serves the growing fleet of hydrogen-powered buses, highlighting the city's commitment to clean energy and sustainability. In October 2023, Rybnik officially opened its hydrogen refueling station, the second of its kind in Poland. Currently, the price of 1 kilogram of hydrogen is 69 zloty, which is approximately 15 euros. Rybnik Hydrogen District is a collaboration between the city of Rybnik and the Silesian University of Technology to transform the Rybnik Coal District into hydrogen district, focused on green energy technologies, and the city also supports hydrogen research at the university. Thank you for your kind attention and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. We've covered a lot of topic as well, but I believe the story and your like coal dependence is huge issue that you've addressed in those like last previous years. So I hope there will be question about that. I would like to ask you about co-housing for elderly women as well, but maybe later. But right now I would like to go to the biggest city in Poland, so Warsaw, with over 2 million residents. And Warsaw as well made a huge improvements in air quality, but as well energy transition. And because I live here, like I can see the change each day. So I believe Warsaw is right now full of green spaces, supports its residents very effectively, but as well had a new strategy for clean Warsaw, and is changing the approach based on cooperation and discussion with its own residents. And right now, I'm very happy to introduce one of the people who made Warsaw success possible. So Marcin Grącki, Director of the Department of Air Protection and Climate Policy from City of Warsaw. Marcin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anita. Can you see my screen and can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Brilliant.
hear you. We can
Fantastic.
see the screen.
So welcome everyone. Greetings from snowy Warsaw. I'm here today with Deputy Director Jacek Kisiel, who is, he's at the department since the very beginning, and he is the best person to answer any questions about the subsidiaries, air quality, climate actions, and so on and so forth. So happy that he is here. And also Julita Hukowska from air quality team is here. And I will be covering basically two areas. One is climate policy, meaning adaptation and mitigation, and then later on air quality. And in both areas, I think we are a pretty good example of of success and how it works in the long run. I have like thousands of slides for today, so I will be very fast. I like speedrun videos on YouTube, so I will do a speedrun myself today, presenting all of this to you guys. Let me know if I will be over time. I set my timer now, and yeah, happy to continue. So Warsaw is the biggest city in Poland. It has 1,900,000 inhabitants and over 1,200,000 users, daily users. Because of the war in Ukraine, the number of inhabitants grew over 300,000 more people came to Warsaw and lives in Warsaw nowadays. So it's a challenge for us, and but the city became their new home for a couple of years. We have 18 districts, and each district has its own mayor and deputy mayor, and the district council, which make things even more complex regarding climate policy and air quality. But that's how it looks like. We have over 40 departments like mine and Jacek's, and a city budget is, it's a budget of a small country, I think, like Malta or Cyprus. So a huge budget, but also a huge spendings. As I said, the climate policy is a long run story. So we have started many years ago, and this is only the recent 6 years. Starting from the environmental protection program, climate adaptation strategy, green city and climate action plan, and the mission climate city contract. But we have started many years ago. So it's not like we don't treat climate as a task for one election cycle or for a couple of years. We are into the issue since early 2000 years. So starting from even C40, Covenant of Mayors, and that kind of initiatives. So it is a long run. And as I mentioned to you, we have over 40 departments. We have over 1,000 different units in the city, like hospitals, schools, cultural offices, and they more or less know what to do regarding climate, energy, and so on and so forth. And those are the areas. But there were no one document on one clear goal ahead of before for that actions. But in such scale as Warsaw, the bottom-up approach is the best one, I would say. So to create a good environment for people to make an action, to educate, to raise awareness. However, we have a number of barriers because of that. So we have insufficient cooperation between departments and different units. We have the insufficient level of financial support from the government, but also from the city budget. We have a silo structure as every city in the region, right? So we have a mayor, deputy mayors, and the offices in the silos. And it's very difficult to cooperate horizontally very often. For many years, we have an issues with the government, which is pretty important regarding climate change and energy transition, especially in Poland, because we operate in a coal-based economy still. And the biggest energy companies are the state-owned companies, and that's the case for Warsaw as well. And it was already mentioned by a colleague from Krakow. It's a lack of adequate legislation for climate mitigation, climate transition, and the lack of national goals in that area. Now the government is working on the KPI, which is the main document for that, but it's still under consultation. And to address those challenges, we decided to step into cooperation with C40 and European Bank for Reconstruction and Development and create a document which is called Green City and Climate Action Plan, which is basically it's a roadmap on how to achieve carbon neutrality no later than 2050, with a goal of 40% reduction by 2030. What is very important, it was the first time the city council set a climate goal. So 40% is an official approved by city council and the mayor goal for us that we are on the pathway currently. But also it gives us a hint of what should we do, how, what measures should we implement, and with what stakeholders to cooperate to achieve that ambitious goal. The document was also, within the document, we also started measuring the greenhouse gas emission with GPC compliant standard, so a global standard for that. So we now know very well what are the emission sources and how to address this. And in Warsaw, in our case, as I already mentioned, is the biggest challenge are the buildings and energy sector. So basically consumption-based emissions from the energy, heat and electricity. And in Warsaw, we have two very big CHP plants, both state-owned, and they are the biggest source of our emission from the direct emissions, but also from the consumption perspective in the buildings. We measure the reduction that we currently have, and as you can see, between 2020 and 2022, we don't have much change, even though the previous 2 years was 40% of the emissions, because of the war in Ukraine and because Warsaw becoming a hub for help, a new home for many people. So we observe that we observe that in the emission data as well. So next year the emission inventory for 2024 will give us more info about the track of that, if we should implement more measures, change the strategy, or do some additional work to address that extra people living, working, and operating in Warsaw. This is a funny slide because it's per capita emission reduction, and if we measure the emissions per capita, we are almost home. Almost 40% is done, but unfortunately, those are not compliant with the global methodology on how to measure that. So, the lump sum emission is counted not per capita, but it gives, a bit of insights on that we are on track, but have some bumpy on the road, and we have to overcome that. As an element of Green City and Climate Action Plan, we came up with a set of 27 measures, very specific ones, citywide measures. legislation ones, regulatory ones, the even measures about creating a new bodies in Warsaw. We already have thousands of them, but creating, energy agency, for instance, to cover all competences regarding energy it is a must basically for a city in our scale, but also actions on the greenery, on climate adaptation, on climate resilience, education awareness, and so on and so forth. The transport is a very important factor for us, even though it is like 27% of our emission. This is something that is not beyond our competences. We have a direct influence on, so we do more and more regarding transport. And now, the Green City and Climate Action Plan was a fantastic document because, first ever climate goal officially approved by City Council. We have a set of bankable projects, very important. We have a rationale for reaching to external funds, that we have a data-based document, and we have a data-based rationale behind projects. But we decided to accelerate, and we decided to step into Climate City contract. So the European 100 Cities Mission, innovative and climate neutral cities, and that's what is Climate City contract about. Together with Krakow and 3 more cities from Poland, we are a part of the missions. All of us has already submitted contract. We are waiting for the label. We are waiting for the benefits of the label. However, it is a huge question mark for me, what it brings, if anything, or how it could help. I think it is, it will be a game changer regarding the cooperation between cities and European Commission, because a couple of years ago we have an advocacy institutions like ICLEI, like Eurocities, like many of these, but there were no direct cooperation. There were not direct funding from the EU for municipalities, and hopefully the outcomes, the insights from the contracts will at least create some change in the mindset of the EU Commission regarding the cooperation with the regions and cities. For the Climate City contract, we came up with 2 districts only. We don't have citywide goal. We have a goal for 2 districts, 2 completely different ones. One is more, living area for Warsaw Ursynów, and the second one is Praga Południe. With a railway station, with many factories, many brownfields as well, and a new district for people as well. So, and we want to leverage the outcomes to the rest of the districts, and our goal is to reduce 80% by 2030 within the districts. It also gave us a first time ever data on the district scale. So now we measure not only emission on a Warsaw level, but we measure emission for the specific districts. And as you can see, there are differences, like between Bielany and Ursynów. Ursynów has a huge road going, around Warsaw, and in Bielany we have a factory, we have a steel factory. So that kind of differences means that we have to adapt our services, our consultancy services to our colleagues in the different districts, taking into consideration the specific conditions. And this is the first ever we have that data, which is great. And it is a huge benefit of being a part of the mission, very tangible one for us. Again, the contract is followed by the specific actions. And now in that case, those are the district-wide actions, not a city-wide, so more tailored to the local district and local areas. We have more about waste heat, for example. We have more about local district heating, and so on and so forth. And hopefully we will be able to start with the implementation as soon as the document is approved. And we already have a lot of benefits from that process because we cooperate very, very closely with the districts and district management. So the mayor of the district, the people working here, and they will also push for the new projects, push for more budget to implement the contract.
Marcin, there are like 5 minutes left, but you have additional 2 or 3, so feel
Fantastic.
free to finish.
Okay, all right. So you may ask yourself, so what's the difference between Green City and Climate Action Plan and Climate City contract? And I would say the Green City and Climate Action Plan was a first step, and the Climate City contract is a phase 2. So we are focusing on the very specific districts to achieve the goal, and then to leverage to another districts. And now I wanted to share with you some very specific measures that we do that are within our competences, and the measures that we could implement in Warsaw. And one of the most important are the retrofitting wave in Warsaw, or thermomodernization wave in Warsaw. And basically our department and the division led by Jacek, who is here with me, are becoming a center of excellence for the city regarding the retrofit and thermomodernization. They build competences regarding the energy audits. They help reaching for funds like the renovation fund, like the external EU funds, and so on and so forth. So we are becoming a consulting practice for our colleagues in city, for districts, and we are help with our paperwork, documents, and so on and so forth in that very important and very complex area. And we already have some successes with the districts. We got a lot of external funding because of that, including 25 schools in the renovation fund. KPO, which is in English, it's Anita, help me. It's the
National Recovery Plan.
Recovery Plan. Then already mentioned by Jacek in the chat, the Green Building Standard, the document that Forum Energii participated in. The Association of the Architects were a part of the team. And it is basically a set of standards that every new building in Warsaw, the city-owned building, has to be compliant with. The standards regarding the energy efficiency, which is no-brainer. Energy efficiency is a must, but also the greenery and the climate resilience, also the water management, mobility, transport, but also well-being of people inside. So it's one on its own standard, tailored for the local needs, tailored for the needs of our residents, and every new building has to be compliant with. So it has to be more ambition than the current legislation that states. It will be. It is now approved by the city council. It's sorry, not by the city council, but by the mayor, and the July next year is the date of being now. I mean, now we have a vacatio legis period of time, so we have time to to be prepared for the legislation. And July next year, it's a starting point, and every new building has to be compliant. We already have one building with the standard, and it gets award and next award from the different areas. So we already know it is worth doing. It is worth being compliant with the standard, because as a mayor, you can always say, my building got 5 awards for being the most progressive in the field of energy, field of mobility, and so on and so forth. We as a city now are focusing also about our municipal companies, utility companies, and these companies are to become climate neutral. So, for example, the Warsaw Waterworks now is almost 40% energy neutral. So I mean, almost 40% of energy demands are fulfilled from the internal production, which is a fantastic news, because that's the most energy consuming company in the city. We have a partnership for climate or climate partnership, so a vehicle to cooperative business and external stakeholders to stimulate the knowledge exchange and so on and so forth. And of course, we have a subsidiary system. We do have two in our office. One is for renewables, a huge success. And on the left side of the screen, you can see the numbers. Already all over 60 million zlotys paid to inhabitants and to companies for renewables installed there. And also we have the similar program for the municipal actors. So, schools, hospitals, kindergartens, and so on and so forth. We have an urban adaptation plan, and the next year we will be developing a new one, new maps, the new knowledge about the climate pressures in city, because we treat climate policy. The climate policy are about two pillars for us. One is climate adaptation, and the second is mitigation. And we should be focused on both, especially after the flood we have in Poland and in the region, even Western European region. It becomes more and more important nowadays. We have a climate change adaptation guide for the people. So basically a guide on what you can do as a citizen if you do own a land or you are a decision maker here. And of course, we disclose the data, which is also very important via CDP. Data about emissions, data about the climate. To be a European city and attractive for the investors, you have to disclose the data. And it was already mentioned by my Krakow colleague. External funds is a must. This slide is from the Climate City contract, and it shows that city is responsible for like 9% of the costs of transformation, and the rest of it is a combination of the residents, of the business, external stakeholders, the energy companies, and more and more. And it's a common goal. It's a common task to tackle. The city won't be able to become climate neutral or won't be able to progress with the emissions reduction without participation with external partners. And the city is responsible for like 7.5 emissions. The whole emission, and the rest of it is the residents, companies, and so on and so on. And this is why the cooperation is a key, already mentioned a couple of times. And now, Anita, please let me talk just 3 minutes about air quality, because it's a very important topic for us, especially after Rybnik, who is very successful in that field.
I fully understand that, Martin. You have additional minutes. We still have some time, but please be brief about air quality, but I know it will be not easy.
I will be brief. So that's how it was. We were, Warsaw and other cities in Poland were said to be one of the most polluted in the region, in the area, and that was true. Our emissions were mostly from the coal stoves. It was, the emissions of the particulate matters and benzoylfapyren. And we started with over 15,000 of coal stoves in 2017, and now, end of last year, we ended up with just 2,600. And by the end of this year, we are, we think we will go below 2,000 coal stoves, which is, for the city with 2 million inhabitants, it's a very low number. However, it didn't happen, over one night. It was also a long run. And since 2017, we introduced the most or the best subsidiary system in Poland for the coal stoves replacement. We were able to cover even 100% of the costs of the investments for the people to replace coal stoves, mostly with gas boilers, but also heat pumps and PVs. Again, over 20 million euros has been paid to citizens from the city budget as a subsidiaries to replace coal stoves. And that program is a huge success. A couple of weeks ago, we introduced a new one, and we will be covering the costs of replacing the old gas boilers to heat pumps and to renewables, which is the first in Poland program like that, to be compliant with the new directive, but also, to get rid of not efficient boilers. But it's not only about subsidiaries; it is also about the help that we provided to citizens and residents, because it's not an easy task to fill the document, especially if it requires a very specific knowledge, like what heat pump would you like to choose, or what option would you like to end up after the cost of replacement. So we incorporated the energy consultants for the residents. We also, once you put a form in our office, you are getting one person that will be he will or she will be your contact point until the end of the process. The one person you can always call, you can ask questions, and the person will guide you through. We have energy advisors. So a group of people not advising only about cost of replacement, but also about retrofit, thermomodernization, how to reduce the bills that you have, even if you're not planning the investment. So we are trying to cover also that area. We measure energy poverty to not let people behind, especially, it is not legal currently to have a coal boiler. But we cannot leave people behind, and it is still a challenge in Warsaw to replace, I think, more or less 1,000 boilers because of the energy poverty, because the people cannot, or they don't want to, or they cannot, because of the money, apply for the replacement with the city system. And now the outcomes and the effects. So last year, we were compliant with the WHO norms, the currently existing norms, PM2, PM10 as well. We were compliant with that, and benzalpyren, which is the most dangerous one, coming mostly from the coal stoves. Last year, on every station, we measured that we were under the level of standard, which is great. However, even if time and resources spent gives you the outcome and will pay off at the end, we have new WHO norms, or new norms of air quality that is coming 2030. And it means that, we didn't solve all the problems. We still have a lot to do to be compliant with the new levels. And that's, as you can see on that slide, PM10, the green line is a new norm, so we have a lot to do. Even though the coal stoves were replaced, a lot of things has been incorporated. And that's, I would say that will be a never-ending story, because you always want to progress. And this slide is important to me, not only to tell you about the successes, but also the road to that is ahead of us. And it's a bumpy road, especially in Poland, in a coal-based economy, in a coal state, as a video from Rybnik stated, and Eastern European mindset. But we are a team of very motivated people, team of great specialists. So I believe we will be successful at the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Martin, for this very inspiring presentation. As Warsaw citizen, I have to say that now I know that I can even call energy advisor, which is great. And you have a really strong team and really impressive strategies. So it was a great pleasure to hear to your presentation. But now we reach the end of our presentation part. So I want to thank you very much for everything that you shared with us. I think I have many papers with notes after this, so a lot of questions, a lot of inspirations. We had cities of different size with different approaches to energy strategy, but with also a lot of similarities when it comes to education, informational campaigns, and some concrete solutions as well. So I can't wait for our discussion. So as you know, our this part is recorded to share it with other cities as well, but we will continue the discussion of the record. So for this part, I would like to thank you very much and give the floor to Anita, and we will continue after switching off the recording.
Yeah, thank you all for great and very insightful presentations. I hope that we're gonna have enough time during the discussion for all of the questions that I saw on the chat. But for this part, thank you very much from the Forum Energii side, and I hope this is the first meeting of many between Polish and Finnish cities on energy transition.